Hello and welcome to my rules review of this Adeptus Custodes Caladius Grav-Tank. Now, I've already done an unboxing and review of this model last year, so I won't go too much into the model itself. It's £85, and the reason why I'm doing this rules review is basically because Games Workshop have brought out some beta rules for this tank. They do go on to say that more war gear options will be available, so I'm pretty much taking that as the heavy blaze cannons are going to be available. Seeing as the Coronis Grav carrier does have Arachnus Las Blaze, and I think that's what they're going to be calling them. They're probably going to call them heavy Arachnus Las Blaze or something like that. But either way, this is the Caladius Grav-Tank. It's not finished painted, it's just a rough coat and things. But I thought I'd go through the beta rules. Now, obviously they are just beta rules, a bit like a beta of a video game or something like that. So it's a new thing that they're doing, and I think they're just testing the waters in terms of rules. But it's good because it means that if you do have Horus Heresy or 30k Custodian Guard miniatures, these new rules will, eventually, once they're sort of official, will allow you to use those models in your games of 8th edition Warhammer 40k, which is brilliant. You know, the more game systems you can use your expensive models in, the better, definitely. So long as it doesn't break that barrier of pay to win, or like with the Forge World, Sakaran tanks that they brought out last year, isn't lackluster either. It's so difficult to get a balance right with those rules. Anyway, I'm going off on many tangents. Let's look at the rules themselves. So Games Workshop have put them out. This Caladius Grav-Tank is a fast attack choice for your 40k Adeptus Custodes army. Unfortunately, its damage output and things is affected by how much damage it takes. Unlike the Myphitic Blight Hauler. Anyway, so the best of the best, the Emperor's own personal kind of army bodyguard of 10,000, their vehicles and dreadnoughts and things get less effective as the battle goes on. So I'll just give you the main stat lines. So its movement is 16 inches, its weapon skill is 6+, ballistic skill 2+, strength 6, toughness 7, 14 wounds, and attacks 3, leadership 9, and a save of 3+. It will cost you 16 power points, and it will cost you 220 points in matched play. Then you've got to buy the Iliastus Accelerator Cannon, which is 70 points, and the Twin Lastrum Bolt Cannons as well, which is 25. So let's call that 95. So it's 315 points or so for this model in match play. So it's a good chunk of points. So back to its stat line, with the remaining wounds of 8 to 14 plus, its movement is 16 inches, so it's very fast. Ballistic skill 2+ and attacks 3. When its wounds are half, between 4 and 7, its movement goes down to 12 inches, ballistic skill 3+ and attacks D3. And when it's only got 1 to 3 wounds, its movement is 8 inches, ballistic skill drops to 4+ and attacks of 1. So its battle effectiveness is affected by all the damage that it takes. It's a single model. It's equipped with twin Iliastus Accelerator Cannon and twin Lastrum Bolt Cannons. You may only include one of these units per detachment in your army. So there's a limit there. You can't spam 3 of them or anything like that. You can only have 1 per detachment. The twin Iliastus Accelerator Cannons, pretty much like the accelerator cannons on the Sakaran, but just a bit better. The range is 60 inches, heavy 8 shots, strength 8, AP -3, and damage D3. They don't have any extra abilities, not like the heliothermic detonation and things like that Horus Heresy brings, and the same with the twin Lastrum Bolt Cannons. That's a 36-inch range, heavy 6, strength 6, AP -2, and a damage of 1. So again, that doesn't have any abilities, unlike in Horus Heresy, where they have that heliothermic detonation. Abilities, it's a hover tank, so that's quite straightforward. Instead of measuring distances to and from the model's base. You measure it from the hull, and it's got quite a big hull. Gravitic backwash, nothing new here. Any models attempting to make melee attacks suffer -1 to all hit rolls, to a maximum of 6+. Flare shielding though, it does have a 6+ invulnerable save. That's nothing new, really, compared to the invulnerable saves normally that like Land Raiders can get and things. Enhanced Oromite alloys. This is where it grabs the sort of Custodian Guard Warden ability here. You roll a d6 each time the model loses a wound, and on a 6 the damage is ignored and the wound is not lost. That's brilliant. It's got 14 wounds anyway, but you rolling that d6 every time it loses one is definitely going to increase its survivability. It's just a shame its invulnerable save isn't a 5+ like the rest of the Custodian Guard army. Gravitic Cascade. If this model is reduced to 0 wounds, you roll a d6 before removing it, and on a 5 or a 6 it explodes, and each unit within 6 inches suffers d3 mortal wounds. That's pretty nice. Its keywords: Imperium, Adeptus Custodes, Vehicle, Fly, Caladius Grav-Tank. And then it goes on to say further war gear options and tanks will be available alongside the unit's rules. So here's hoping they bring in the Palace to this, which is like another fast attack tank that can be taken in units of 3, and it has those blaze cannons, not the heavy ones, just normal little blaze cannons. And here's hoping they also bring out the Annihilator rule set too. I'm sure they will. At the end of the day, Games Workshop 412, they're a business. They want to make as much money as possible, and to allow you to use all of your models, Forge World or Games Workshop or otherwise, in both of the settings in this universe should be an ultimate goal. It maximises the enjoyment we'll all get out of the hobby, and also maximises their profit too. The Iliastus accelerator autocannons are still very, very decent. You know, further range than a las cannon, remember? You've got the 8 shots there. You couple that with this movement speed of 16 inches, you've now got an effective range of 76 inches, which is just immense. You know, with this thing, you want to be playing it on the biggest battlefield you can get your hands on, and just letting rip with those 8 strength 8 shots. Because it's strength 8, great against other vehicles and high toughness creatures, and things with a lot of wounds, with the damage of D3. And the Ladstrom bolt cannons are pretty decent too. You're getting your 6 shots. You pump all these shots into a squad of, say, Space Marines maybe, you're getting 14 shots there that are going to do an awful lot of damage. But really with this thing, you want to be going after the high priority targets, like the expensive units and the tanks and the multi-wound creatures. So there you go. I think the rules are pretty good. The abilities are quite straightforward. Yeah, it would have been nice for a 5+ invulnerable, but a 5+ with a 6+ ignoring. The save of 3+ is, yeah, it's all right. Quite straightforward. You know, it's a beta. These are not set in stone. That's why I really do encourage you to, you know, chip in this conversation about the beta rules and put all your comments and opinions and things down below. Be great to hear your feedback about this and about its rules. As always, thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.